home bakers, it's Jack here, bakerwithjack.co.uk, and in the past we've spoken about my love for the Great British Bake Off and my previous disappointment on Bread Week. But this year in 2020 there is a massive lesson to be learned that might just have slipped by out of sight. Roll that theme tune. Hello to you and welcome back to the Bake with Jack YouTube channel, where I do my best to explain the bread making process in the only way that I know how to help you make amazing bread for life. If what I do is for you, consider clicking subscribe before you go. The Great British Bake Off is back, and I feel like this year we probably need it more than ever. What better time to sit down on the couch, snuggle up in a blanket with a cup of tea and watch 12 lovely people baking lovely baked goods inside a tent with so much love and care and attention. As I watched the remaining bakers take on the technical challenge on Bread Week this year, something big stood out for me as Paul and Prue crunched their way through 10 batches of rainbow bagels, judging them all one by one and ranking them all in order. There was a very slightly hidden lesson to be learned that I believe will benefit every single struggling home baker in the planet. Today we're going to talk about the bagel principle to help you understand why the process is what it is, so then you'd feel comfortable enough to make your way and make your own epic bagels at home, rainbow or otherwise. Then in the second part of this video we're going to come full circle and we're going to talk about the most valuable lesson for us all that was literally screaming me in the face, but it may well have gone under your radar. Let's go. Bagel dough is made out of exactly the same foundation ingredients as a bap, or a ciabatta, or a focaccia, or a baguette. It's bread after all. Flour, water, salt, and yeast. Bagel dough is what I like to call a slow mover, and it's an exception to the often quoted rule, the wetter the dough, the better the bread. And let me tell you what I'm talking about. Think about the characteristics of a bagel for a minute. It's round, it's got a hole in the middle. I don't know why I'm talking about that because it doesn't really matter. The inside it has small holes. It's not puffy and fluffy like a ciabatta, for example. It's soft, but it's dense, if that even makes sense. It's shiny, it's plump, it smells wicked delicious, and it has a thin, crispy crust on the outside. This is what you're going for, and this is one that I made, and if I get my act together, the recipe will be up for you on the blog right now. And yes, I'm well aware it's not rainbow coloured like the ones on the Bake Off, but the principle is the same. It's not really my style to make multicoloured food, and it makes me feel a little bit gross inside. Bagels are unique in the way that they are made because, as we all saw, they are boiled before they are baked. I like to boil mine 30 seconds each side, but the longer you boil it for, the more thicker and the more chewier your crust becomes, and that decision is up to you or Paul or Prue. The fact that they are boiled before they baked means we don't want the dough to get too puffy. If it puffs too much, it will be too delicate, and then when we boil it, it will start to go like collapse and go crinkly on the outside, just like we saw on the telly. So we do two things. One, we make a slow moving dough, and by that I mean just a little bit of yeast so things don't get too puffy too quickly. They rise up slowly, therefore widening the window of opportunity where we can boil them and everything will be fine. And two, we use less water in the recipe, making a firmer dough in comparison to, say, the opposite end of the scale, which is a super wet dough for a ciabatta. For example, the dough is firmer, we use a lower hydration so that it is able to hold up during that boiling process. Do you see now? Everything is done for a reason. Even the hole has a reason, because if there wasn't a hole when you boiled a roll, the heat would never penetrate to the middle. Huh? That's the evolution of the bagel. That's how it came out of nothing into being. It has to be a dry, tight dough, otherwise it's too soft and loose and it doesn't work. It has to have less yeast, otherwise it's too light and too puffy and it doesn't work. And the classic characteristics of a bagel are because of those two principles. That's why the crumb texture is fine, not open like a ciabatta. That's why it's crispy and chewy, not soft like a bap. That is why it's plump and shiny over flat and crinkly. It all comes together. It all comes together. And now for the most important lesson in the whole history of the Bake Off, probably, let alone just Bread Week here in 2020. I'd love to show you the clip here so we can all watch it together, but I've got enough copyright claims on this channel for using the wrong music by accident. Instead, I've transcribed the words and I'm going to read through them for you because I'm pretty sure you can't get sued that way. And let's see if you notice what I noticed while I was watching at home. During the blind judging, as Paul and Prue were chewing through the rainbow bagels and the bakers do their best to keep their poker faces, here is what was said. These aren't too bad. You've got the colours and they're quite smooth and they're quite light. Nice and soft, crispy on the outside. It's really nice bread. And the crumbs really tasty too. Very good. Moving on to the hula hoops, these are a little bit big and actually overproofed. It's flat. Taste all right though. Taste fine. Moving on to these whoppers, they haven't been twisted and you can see where it's been joined. Nice flavour, good texture. Moving on to this, very, very flat again. They have been overproofed before they went into the water and afterwards they lost all their height. Taste great though. Now these were a little bit dark. Feel the crispiness here, but the shape are pretty uniform. Not too bad, just slightly overbaked. Now this again had the issue with the water, overproofed. You can see the marks on it. That's referring, by the way, to the spider they used. If it's overproofed, use the spider to get out, it'll probably leave marks underneath if it's too bad. That's not at all crisp. It's soft, underbaked. Flavour's okay though. Flavour's fine. Now these aren't bad and they're fairly smooth, but just overdone it slightly in the water. Good flavour. These were overbaked again. You can see how dark they've gone. They're not very attractive. A little bit tough. These are big, they look more like pretzels, vibrant colours and they are pretty smooth. Yep, that's delicious. Moving on to the last one, lost its way a little bit in the shaping, but also in the water as well. Again, you can see the marks. Nice bread though. Did you hear it or did you miss it? They all had their faults. Soft, crunchy, overboiled, overproofed, overbaked, too big, not very attractive, but listen to this. Very nice, nice bread, very good, tasted fine, nice flavour, taste great, flavour's fine, good flavour, yep, that's delicious, nice bread though. All of them, apart from two of them, tasted great regardless, and I no doubt believe that those other two did too. Whatever their faults, they were all delicious because they were all made out of the same stuff. Flour, water, salt, yeast, time, care and attention. They don't have to be perfect, you just have to try. They might come out too soft or too crinkly or both, but you already won the game because you did it in the first place. Do you get it? The perfect crust, the perfect puff, the perfect shine, everything else can and will be tweaked as you continue on your bread making journey. And in the meantime, well, you'll just have to eat all of your imperfect but nonetheless delicious bagels along the way. If you've never made a bagel before, I'm not sure why that's relevant. Even if you had made bagels before, I've just popped the recipe for my standard all brown on the outside, all white on the inside bagels onto the blog for you. I've included, as always, some special pointers from me to help you out on the way to the bagels that are perfect for you. There will be a link to the recipe underneath, and I know loads of you will be thinking, I'll just make a video about it, but it's not that easy. But hey, you know we're moving to a new studio soon, don't you? You must have seen that video last week. And when we're there, I'll be able to do so much more for you. If you haven't clicked subscribe yet, I know I say at the beginning of every video, you probably don't even hear it anymore. It just probably goes... If you haven't clicked subscribe, click subscribe. Enjoy making your bagels at home. Enjoy the Great British Bake Off this year. And hey, maybe one day I'll see you on it. See you there. Bye-bye.